The core purpose is to use the occupancy data to help us determine price. And we are able to see and break down by hour of day, by day of week, and by very small geographies what's actually going on the street, and to set thresholds so that we can say, okay, if we think that 80% full is that threshold where not only is it hard to find a spot, but the perception of the challenge is a tipping point for a typical parker in causing them to do perhaps suboptimal behavior, causing them frustration, and maybe they're doing things that are dangerous in the street, then we want to use that as a trigger point and make decisions. So we are mapping these data, we are grouping them into what we call pricing zones. It's not an outward-facing public sort of measure, but it's a way for us to understand what geography is the right geography to institute a price change. So we're creating zones and geographies that create as similar a behavior batch as possible, if that makes sense, because we want to group together the areas where there's high utilization, and if we change the price there, we don't want to also change the price on areas with low utilization. So we are working in the weeds of the maps to make sure we tune those zones to the best of our abilities. We are excited about several areas of analysis that we have yet to really dig into. Our compliance analysis, comparing the meter transaction data to our occupancy data, is showing between 30 and 50% of parking being paid for during those operational meter hours. And so we have a plan to be delivering, and to your point, without overwhelming our police with data. We're not going to just give them a sign into the dashboard and say, have at it, because they don't have the time for that. But our strategy is going to be giving them the hot spots. So identifying a top 5 on a quarterly basis of hot spots that coincide with high utilization, and therefore those sort of aspects of frustration and competition, but also with low compliance, to see if they can target enforcement and target their existing finite enforcement resources. So this will be a question for the community as to how we best allocate resources. And we're not assuming they can bring more to bear, but rather they can maybe use what they have more efficiently.